at Britannica. I'm the professional development manager there, so in my role I get to talk with teachers and library media specialists about different ways they might use Britannica and all of the resources. And I'm sorry, Kim, you're all cut off here at the end. Let me change that. Kim is your education territory manager, so she's in the back there, waving at you right now. You can contact either of us. I think you should have gotten her card. If you want my card, you can get it too. Or you can just always email me at darcy@ub.com with any questions about Britannica or anything that we talk about today. So today what we're going to do is look at Britannica School. We're also going to look at ImageQuest, which is a resource of 3 million rights-cleared images. You're going to find original sources, which is our new resource of primary source documents, secondary source documents, lots of great tools there, and then also resource packs. So we've got a lot of information to throw at you today. We're going to be looking at this, and what I want you to keep in mind throughout the session today, because of course this is all about flipping a classroom, is how you might use our content to flip your classroom. We were talking earlier in the session about the different tools that you might be able to use. We're just going to be looking at Britannica resources today, but certainly think about how you could use Britannica resources in those tools. So whether that be Google Classroom, or if you're using another learning management system or something like that to share things with your students at home so that they can come back and use them or talk about them in the classroom. So I wanted to give you your information here. You do have access to Britannica School through Hammond City School District, so you do have free access through them. They pay for it. So your username and password are down here. That's Hammond and Learn. So you're going to want to write those down at your school building. You should not need to put in your username and password. And actually on the back of your little sheet here, your packet, there's a little spot for that if you want to put those in. You shouldn't need it actually in your school building, but you will need it when you go home because you won't be IP authenticated there. So pretty easy. Hammond and Learn. Share that with your students also because they have access to Britannica School at home. And then your school code, we'll be talking about this a little bit later on, is U2T6. That's a good way to remember it, Bono. And this is case sensitive, so all together, capital U, capital T, number 2 and 6 in there. So leave that up for a moment. I just put your URL here for your school or your district homepage because you can access Britannica School through that. Earlier, it was being very slow for me, so we're just going to go directly to the link. I also want to talk about ImageQuest and original sources today, in addition to resource pack. I just didn't put that on the slide today. These 3 resources you do not have access to yet, or they haven't paid for it yet. We're giving you a free trial for those. So keep that in mind, but Kim's given this to you through September, so you can use it for your planning throughout the summer as well as into the school year next year. And if you really like it, tell your administrator about it, because then perhaps Hammond will be able to purchase that as well. All right, everyone got that down? All right, we're going to start off our session with kind of a think, pair, share. So what I want you to do is think about this question: what does it mean to flip a classroom? And pair with a partner or with a small group and talk about it really quickly, and then we'll share it with the groups. Heather, you're all the way trying. So like the research and the diving in. Yeah.
Bring them in the process and see where they're at. Without being
yeah.
And then,
it's not always easy.
it's not.
I was teaching myself.
And this was my first year,
Yeah.
so it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And then we'll share with them, try.
Yeah.
before now.
Who did you say?
They did, so it was their choice. And so they have to finish the argument, or whatever that means to you.
Yeah.
And then, some things are what they need to do.
Yeah, right.
So,
And then, but then we're not literally home on Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, so they haven't paid Saturday, but.
I have not.
Alright, good. Excited for you to use it.
I know they don't have that, yeah, do a lot.
Alright, I'm hearing some good things over here. Who wants to share what you've talked about? Were you on task? No, just kidding. Who wants to share what it means to you to flip a classroom? How about this group over here?
To give some instruction at home so we can do more activities.
More activities
in the room.
Okay, good. How about this group over here? This middle group? Anyone want to share from there? Sure.
I would say, well, my interpretation is of flipping a classroom is not so much a reflection of the teacher giving the student instruction, but flipping it back onto themselves when they are the ones instructing them. They are guiding their own learning. So I'm kind of flipping it back to them instead of me just telling you what to do.
Right. Yeah. And Heather and I were talking about how project-based learning works really well with that, and that's certainly something. And then how about
We're kind of, so if you think about the gradual release with the I do, we do, you do, is that for flip, the I do is taking place outside of the classroom.
Okay.
The obtain portion for the students just to get knowledge given to them, and then when they come to the classroom, they're doing the develop, the we do, or the you do, and developing the apply phase.
Okay. Interesting. Anybody else? Heather, did you want to add? She's been doing a little bit of flipping herself already.
I've tried. Now this is my first year, so keep that in mind. But I have a number of different classes that I'm teaching, and because of all the prep that's involved, there were points where I was ready to pull my hair out. And so I did a lot of project-based learning with the kids. Sometimes that meant they would get some class time to work on it because I wanted to give them some direction, or I had some things that I wanted them to include. But a lot of it they had to do at home on their own time. And then they would present using Prezi or Google Slides or whatever it is they wanted to use. Some of them still went old school and did posters, so it really depends on the kids and their groups. And the kids that were in class listening to their peers, I think they got more out of some of those presentations simply because, you know, everything was included for them on the classroom. They shared a Google Drive. So they had access to everything that was in the background. They weren't writing notes, and they spent more time interacting.
Very good. I love all of those, and I really like that everyone kind of has a different view. I think with flipped classrooms, it can be, you know, people can go all out or just do little things to support students at home so that when they come to the classroom, you can do more hands-on activities, you can be more collaborative, things like that. So a flipped classroom really basically means things that are traditionally done in the classroom are now being asked to be done at home, and some things that are traditionally done at home are now being done in the classroom. So more of that practice, that collaboration in some of those projects. So when we're talking about things that are traditionally done in a classroom, I think we can all attest that that's a lot of teacher-led instruction. That's something that's traditional, or something that probably has already flipped a little bit as education is continuing to expand. Student note-taking, so we talked about that, students just sitting there taking notes as the teacher talks. I can think of a specific high school teacher that had us do that all the time. And then summative assessments, right? Students are assigned homework, so then they have to go home and maybe do that practice at home. So then traditionally done at home, of course, is that practice, the application pieces, the connections to the content that are learned in class, and those project-based assignments are often done at home then. So allowing for a flipped classroom, at home the teacher's going to provide exposure to the content at home. So this could be via podcast. I know when I first started learning about flipped classrooms, I just had a vision of a teacher, you know, videotaping themselves and doing a podcast, which is great, and that's certainly a part of it, but it doesn't have to be just that. It can be setting them home with informational text and videos, images, allowing them to do activities at home so that when they come back to the class, they're prepared to collaborate. And then in class, that student collaboration form a deeper understanding of the content the concepts of content. Applications and connections to the content are made at the school. From things doing at the home, the teacher's able to guide on the side, really help any student that needs it, and give students individual support as needed. So I know it's always a struggle to differentiate content or to differentiate instruction for students. Just at that time allotment, I know I used to teach elementary special ed, and certainly time is always a huge thing. And I really think that hopefully by the end of today's session, you'll have some resources at least that you can take back, and it'll make it a little bit easier for you to implement all of these things that would be a goal for Flipped Classroom. So why are educators flipping? It increases the opportunity for that student-to-teacher interaction because you're able to do that in the classroom as opposed to just standing like what I'm doing here. I could probably flip this a little bit more, but you get the idea. They're promoting differentiation among students and providing a variety of content to keep students engaged. And we're going to be looking at Britannica School kind of as a vessel for this today, as well as the other resources that I mentioned. And what I want to do is start off by going to Britannica School. This is the URL that you can get there. It's school.ed.com. And you can also get there from your district's homepage. Those of you who were at our first session this morning, a little bit that this is going to be an overview. I want to give you just a little bit of an idea of what Britannica School is and the different kinds of content that you'll find. A real quick survey, how many of you have used Britannica School? All right, just a couple of you. Okay, great. This is going to be just a quick overview for you, and then we're going to look at some of the resources within Britannica School that can help you with that flipped concept. So I'm going to go to Britannica School, that's school.ed.com, and there we are at our homepage. And the first time that you log in at home, that's where you're going to use that Hammond and Learn username and password. In this school building, you're IP authenticated, so you won't need that, okay? And then every other time that you go into Britannica School at home, as long as you don't clear your cookies, you'll be fine. You won't need that again. All right, so this is Britannica School. This is our homepage. And this is where you'll find all 3 levels of access here. It sounds like we've got some elementary, some middle, and some high. So we will do a spread of all of the resources today. I'm going to come into our middle school level. And I can actually go into the homepage for this. Each one of the levels has their own individual homepage. So if you actually have your own school webpage and you want to link to that specific page, you can do that too. But this is where you'll find access to all the different content, talking about project-based learning and kind of that inquiry and promoting inquiry with students. That's why all of these tools were built on the homepages here. We want to allow students to gain access to content that they might not find with just doing a search. So giving them kind of those avenues to explore. So we've got things like Can You Guess, different browses to allow them to access content that they don't know about already. So we just allow them to do keyword searches. They're just going to search the things they know about or that we told them to look at. All right, so let's do a search up here at the top of the page. I do want to show you the results that you'll find in all the different kinds of content. I'm going to do a search on space exploration. Nod to our camera guy who's not here right now. He said he would always look at Encyclopedia Britannica and loved to look up everything about space. So we're going to do our space exploration search here. A couple things to point out with space exploration, or excuse me, with your search results. So at the top of the page, you will find your level text. So this is really great for when you are flipping your classrooms and you want to differentiate the content for your students. If you had a student that is in the 7th grade, for example, that's really reading at a 3rd or 4th grade level, what you can do is ask them to access level 1 content. So they would click right here. What happens here is this gives you the elementary level text. So this is actually the article from the elementary level, but we're staying in the middle school environment. So it stays really age appropriate for your students while giving them access to that content that's appropriate for them. Same thing would happen if you're a high school student and you're reading at a 3rd or 4th grade level. Just have them click on level 1, then they don't have to go to that really primary looking elementary page to get access to that content that is at their reading level. So a great way to differentiate there. All right, I'm going to head back up to level 2 and talk about a couple other things that you've got here. On the left-hand side of the page, you've got all of your different content sources. So one of our taglines is Britannica is much more than just an encyclopedia. And this is kind of where you see that. We've got thousands of images. You'll find that right here. Not thousands of images with every search, but we have thousands of images on Britannica School. We've got over 268, or at 268, images to choose from. We've got video content. Again, all of these pieces you can utilize however you like, as long as you don't sell that content. So if you wanted to upload this to your Google Classroom, or a different learning management system that you're using as you're flipping your classroom, you can absolutely do that. And all of our images and videos are automatically cited, along with our articles. So great for you guys when you're creating content and wanting to share courses perhaps online, but also great for your students when they're creating their prezzies and all the different kinds of materials. They can print those pictures out to use for posters. They can download videos, embed them into PowerPoint presentations, upload them online, use them however they like. We also have our dictionary definition. I don't think that'll come up through space exploration. It's the 2 words, but if we did one or the other, that would pop up. But that is from Merriam-Webster. We also have our magazine content, which is great. These are different magazine and journal articles. These are provided by EBSCO, but you don't need a subscription to EBSCO to view those. So I can click on any of those to view that text. I'm going to go to this one. I'm clicking on PDF. That's going to give me kind of a scanned copy. There's the outer space aspect. All right, down here we've got web spec sites. These are a collection of websites that our editorial department has gone through and approved. So you can feel safe sending your students to these websites and knowing they're going to find accurate information, they're safe to go to, there's not going to be any inappropriate ads, that kind of thing. So oftentimes these are going to be .edus, .govs, .orgs, or other publication sites. And we have a lot of National Geographic, that kind of stuff. NASA, here we've got one. We also have our primary sources right down here. Year in Review, which comes from Britannica's Book of the Year, and lesson plans, which I'll talk about a little bit later on, but I'm going to pop back up here to the top. Click on Articles, and now we're going to go into the article itself. So things to keep in mind as you are looking for content and pulling things together. Up at the top of the page, you do have your different tools. This we are going to be creating a little bit later on, and those of you who are in this morning session can add to the content that you've created. But this allows you to save articles, images, videos, primary source documents, everything that we have to your own personal accounts on Britannica School. So again, we'll come back to that very quickly. Over here, I have the ability to print the article, email it. We also have a citation tool here, so I can cite this into any one of my citation models or styles. You can translate this page into over 80 languages. You can also have it read aloud to you. So lots of tools that are built in to help to support students if they are reading this content at home by themselves. They've got the listen icon. They have the ability to make that text larger. I know with my kids, whenever I wanted them to have any sort of informational text that they were reading, I would, even with I had some students that just visually needed larger text, but I would do that for all of my kids. I would scan the pages and make that text larger because it was a lot less intimidating for them when it was larger text, especially when it was that nonfiction. Over here we've got the article reading level again. And this is actually where I think it's the most useful. This is where a student can come in and say, okay, this text is really overwhelming to me. The vocabulary maybe is too difficult, or the concept is brand new to me, I'm not understanding this. I can access reading level 1, maybe get kind of that Cliff's Notes version, get a better understanding of the concept or the content, and then move up to level 2. And then if you've got those kids that want to access level 3 content, they can do that too, or maybe you're going to ask some of your students to access level 3, you can. Now up here at the top of the page, you've got an additional opportunity to look at images and videos. So I can click on, it's one of our editors talking, I know that one. Let's go ahead and do a different video. For example, this video here. And I can make this full screen if I want to. So if I'm watching this at home, I can certainly kick back. But one of the things I want to point out is that download feature. So that's how you would download your video. I was wondering if you were looking for something. No, good. through, no problem. You can download your video just by clicking here. That's going to download into an MP4 file, and then you can use it however you like. So keep that in mind. We also have the automatic citation, so that is one thing that we ask if you are putting it onto your own web page or onto your own LMS system, that you just cite it somewhere on your information that it came from Britannica. We made it easy, just copy and paste that citation. And the same thing with our images. You can cite it, you can email it, print it, and favorite or save it. Our related tab is over here, and this is a really nice tool, especially if students are doing that project-based learning and following those trails of inquiry. This gives related people, places, and things to your topic. So it allows them to kind of ask those questions, and you get to look down at maybe they want to research a biography that's related to space exploration and continue those trails throughout the research. And then finally, the teacher tab, something important to mention, you do have your lexile measure from here, along with your standards correlated. So I'm going to go here to Indiana. Choose my subject area. For this, I'll do science. And for this, we've got 8th grade, or 4th grade we've got. I'll pop down here, view the results, and that's going to share that those Indiana academic standards with me. I can copy and paste them into a lesson plan, or just know that I'm helping to meet them with this content. All right, one last thing to share with you. I'm going to go back to the article. On the article itself is something called the Quick Click Dictionary. And this was created so that if students are reading through text and they come across a word that they're unfamiliar with or they don't know, they can just double click on that word. So I'm going to read through this text here, and if I come across the word, let's see, pressurized. I'm going to double click on that word, and I have the definition of the word. I have the pronunciation of the word, so if I click here,
Pressurized.
that will pronounce the word for me. And then I also have the Spanish translation of the word. And that's done from Merriam-Webster's English Dictionary and then English to Spanish. So again, any word throughout the text, you can just double click and that will take you there. Any questions so far?
On the videos,
Yeah.
they're closed captioning.
There is. That's a great question. I didn't point that out to you. That's actually pretty new. So if I click here, we've got the, I'm sorry, there's not closed captioning. There is
It
the
shows
narration
you.
underneath.
Okay.
Yes, there's just text underneath. So not actually closed captioning. But right down here, you'll find the narration. And what I'm going to do right now is actually head back to the home page. So those of you who are following along with me, I'm clicking on Britannica School right up here at the top. That always takes me back to this page here. And I'm going to show, we'll go into the elementary level, a couple of features here. I'm going to show different ones than I showed this morning so that those who were in this morning's session get some new stuff. But we've got down here at the bottom all sorts of different ways to learn about different content areas. So we can look through an article or a media browse. These are really great when you're starting to get students interested in concepts. Especially the media browse, those kids that might be reluctant learners or reluctant readers. The media browse is really great for that. I'm actually going to head into the World Atlas here. So these are, the World Atlas is powered by Google Maps, so we do have the most updated maps available. And I can do a search on any country that I'd like. So I'm going to do a search here on, we'll do South Africa. All right, so that takes me right down to the map. And then within the map, what's nice about this is that the Google map is married with the Britannica content. So you've got the summary, you've got your profile, statistical information, so kind of that initial information students are looking for when they're first doing research. And then you also have that related link here that will pop you into the related people, places, and things. Within the map itself, I can look at a satellite view. I can zoom in and out. I'm going to zoom in here on Cape Town. See how the topography of a region, kind kind of how a city is structured. Perhaps there's Table Mountain National Park. Continue to zoom in. And then if I want to see the street view, just like a Google map, I can do that. So kids like this, they can pull down to anywhere they see blue, and they can get that street view. So a really great way for them to kind of have a virtual field trip, explore the world around them. Google has cameras everywhere, so we've got, you can go inside of a lot of state capitals, a lot of different landmarks, national museums. I know in Italy, you can go down into the Colosseum, you can go through the Colosseum, you can go into Notre Dame in Paris, so lots of fun things to explore with this map. And what's great about it is it's built right inside of Britannica, so they're also going to be able to read more about it and click right here, for example, on the article and continue. So lots of fun with that. All right, I'm going to head into the middle school level.
You go to Street View, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Let me go back to do that. Actually, I'll show you from the middle school level. So in the middle school level, you also have the World Atlas. So the World Atlas is in the elementary, the middle, and high. The only difference is you're going to get more and more information and statistical information as you move to middle and high, of course, because we want to give them lots of content. So here you find that information here. So let's go here. We'll go to Rome. Oh, we'll go to Italy. And what I did here, you can do it from the satellite view or from the map view, either way. But I'm going to go down here to the satellite view, and it helps me to find my stuff easier. So I'm going to click right here. And then I can zoom in and out. I'm going to zoom in on Rome. So I'm just double clicking to do that. I love the way Rome's city is structured here. I think I lost the Colosseum, but that's okay. We'll go down to the street. So I'm going to take my little guy, the little stick figure down here at the bottom, and I can pull him up, grab him and pull him. And anywhere I see that purple or blue line, that means that I have a street image or street view image. So I can come right down here, and it looks like we're in an alley. All right, that's probably just a street in Rome. And then the kids like this, especially little guys, because they like to, walk through the streets like a video game and look at all the little cars, although they don't look that different than some of our cars now. So that was from the middle school level. Again, lots of tools in here to engage students in different ways. We've got explore biographies. These are some of my favorites, so keep this in mind when you're creating your resource packs a little bit later on. But the Did You Know videos are so great for really just grabbing kids' attentions. I always think of them as like the bottom of the Snapple cap. I used to be obsessed with Snapple in high school. So I have like 2 Snapples a day. And they always have that little piece of information that kind of piqued your interest. I can click right here and I can, for example, this one's hilarious. So I'm going to play this one for you. So it's just kangaroos in a box. So did you know kangaroos in a box?
Each other during mating season. They also fight humans and dogs that they see as threats. Like a human boxer,
Shouldn't be funny, but
a
it's funny.
kangaroo can use its arms to punch. It can also use its arms to grab an enemy before leaning back on its tail and then kicking with its hind legs.
All right, so you can imagine if you're doing any sort of research, especially with maybe some upper elementary or middle school students, and you want to kind of say, okay, what are we reading about kangaroos? Well, let's take a look at this video first to kind of engage with it. All these little did you knows here you'll find, they're also associated with your search, so you'll find those there too. So they're all subject areas. This one talks about how Sacagawea was a young mother. She was very, I think she was 13 or 14, and she was a young mother as she joined the Lewis and Clark expedition, so really kind of allowing kids to have an understanding. Here's a good one about the Wright brothers. We were just talking about that earlier. Lots of good stuff there. All right, and then let's head up to the high school level just so you can get an idea of what that looks like. Up here. And our high school level here, you're going to find lots of the same kinds of things that you found in the middle school. However, you do have some additional pieces of content here, including a direct feed to the news from the New York Times. And we also have some cool things here, like behind the news. This is one of my favorite new features. It basically takes something that's happening in the news today. So it'll take a news story, And it will give links to the background information students might not have about that news story. So although we're not necessarily a news source, we do have a lot of content that's going to help to support students in understanding those concepts of those stories. So we have this one, of course, we're going to have a lot of content about Aristotle, but you can get an idea of the kinds of different things we have in science and social studies. So it oftentimes will pull those things out, and then again link them to the content that might help them gain a better understanding. Did you have a question? Sorry.
No.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to just. You don't have to share this. You can just think about it. Think about the project or lesson topic your students are working on in your schools or that you're going to be doing in the fall, because our next resource that we're going to be looking at is the My Britannica feature. And this is where students can create their own accounts and you as educators can create their own accounts. And those of you who are with us this morning, we very briefly went over that. But today what I want to do is think about how you would use this to flip a classroom. And this is just one example of how you might do this. This is something that one of my colleagues did with her students using the graphic organizer, a jigsaw puzzle. And the reason I did that is because you can actually add your own content to your My Britannica account too. So I added a jigsaw puzzle there. And so how this would work is I would send my students home, but first I would divide them into groups of 4. And what I'd like them to do there is I would pass out these little puzzle pieces to each student. So this might be for more of an elementary. As you move up, you might not have to actually do the puzzle pieces. But each student would be assigned a piece of content or content type. So an article, an image, a video. And students are going to find key ideas from the text, their images, their videos, all the primary source documents, all those things, and write them down onto the puzzle pieces. Students are then going to present their findings to their groups and compare their findings with other members of the group. So this does a lot of different things. It allows them to see how multiple sources tell a different story, how multiple content pieces, so whether it's an image or a video or an article, how that gives you different kinds of information and kind of pulls the puzzle together and gives that full picture. How it's important to see, how a secondary account, a primary account of a historical event or something like that. So we're going to be doing this using a resource pack. So let me show you what that looks like. I'm going to jump into Britannica School again. And up here at the top of the page, you can see we have this link that says My Britannica. So I'm going to click on this. And this is a space where both you and your students can create your own personal accounts. So I can type in my username and password. So I'm going to do that. In just a minute, I'm going to show you how to create your own. Those of you who were in my morning session, if you guys want to play around with the accounts you already created, you are more than welcome to do that. I know this is review. All right, so here is my Britannica account. This is where I'm going to find my content in the lesson plan browse. Because I'm logged in as an educator, I have the lesson plan browse. If I were only logged in as a student, I would only have this link here, which is my content. And I'll talk about the different accounts and how that works when we sign up. But I'm going to click here on my content. And this is going to take me into a place where I've saved all of my favorite things. So my articles, images, videos, all that good stuff. All right, so then over here on the left-hand side of the page is what we call our resource packs. This is how I'm going to organize my content. So if I've got all of my articles, images, and videos in one spot, I want to be able to divide them up so I can find them easier. So it's a great, like my little online file holders here. And so the example that I want to show you is down here, actually. I've got a lot of resource packs. There it is. So this is about the first flight. And you can see here I've got some images. I've got articles, videos, and the primary source document. This is the early history of the airplane by the Wright brothers. So lots of different pieces here. And on the right-hand side of the page, I have instructions for my students. So I've had here, this is puzzle 1, write down key ideas and details. This is also a puzzle 1 because it's going to be the images. This is puzzle piece 2 because it is an article. But you can get the idea here, this might be a way for you to differentiate your instruction as well. So if you wanted, maybe puzzle piece 1 is going to also have an elementary level article. So you can save that in here. Maybe puzzle piece 2 is going to have the video content and the high school level article. So it's a different way to approach this. Or maybe your high school level, or excuse me, your more advanced students would work on perhaps a primary source document, because that might be a little bit more difficult to comprehend. If I wanted to add something new to my content, or excuse me, to my resource pack, I would come right up here and do a search. So I'm going to do this on just an airplane. Jefferson airplane. Add that. We'll add that, why not? So I'm going to add this, and I'll show you how you can delete it. But I'm going to add this article, and I can put it into an existing resource pack because I already have one, or I can put it into a new one, so I can create a new resource pack by clicking here. But I'm going to click on my first light copy. Right. And then pull back up to my content. And if I scroll down, you probably won't have this many resource packs, but I do a lot of work in here, so I've got a ton. So I'm going to scroll down to my first flight, and you're going to see that it's there, my Jefferson airplane. I can say, does this belong? All right. So I've got all of my content that I've saved. I've got the notes that I've written. As a student, this might be an opportunity for them to collect notes about the content. But as an educator, what I'm doing is putting the content into, or excuse me, the notes into the notes section here for my students to read later. So if I want to share this with them, it's really easy to do. I can share this pack by clicking on this link in the upper right corner, and Britannica gets me my own unique link. So this link is only going to have that content that I pulled. So it's a way for you to curate what you want your students to view. So in the library media, this is a great place where if you want to support the teachers that are working on a project. Teachers, I was talking to some teachers this morning who said they're just going to create these and share them with each other because they're always working on the same things. But as a student, thinking about a flipped model, if you wanted your students, for example, to pull out this content, so write down in their puzzle piece or what the key aspects are for the image, the video, the articles, all of those different things, they can do that here. And here's the puzzle PDF that I've added. So this is just a graphic organizer that I did so that they can type in whatever they want. So this is just an additional piece. I'm sorry? Oh. No, that's okay. And then what's really great about this is that because I'm a student, or because I'm looking at a shared resource pack, I can't make any changes to this pack. But what I could do is save this resource pack to my own. So I'm logged into my Britannica. I would click here. That's why I have copies of things accidentally because I'm demoing this. But I would be able to save that resource pack, make changes, and then share that link back to my teacher or back to another student. So if you're doing a lot of things in Google Docs or Google Classroom, you can continue to share those links. And anytime I make changes, if I had shared that link before with you, and then I added the Jefferson airplane article, that would automatically show up. It's not going to change that link. It'll stay static. All right, so let's come back to how this relates to a flipped classroom. So at home, what we'd have students to do is introduce and expose the content through videos, reading informational text, image content, etc. And then in the classroom, that's where the application is going to come in. That's where they're going to come together, show their puzzle pieces, and talk to the other students about what they found. So maybe there was something interesting in the image they found that they wouldn't be able to find in the article. Or the first-hand account from the Wright brothers tells a totally different story, perhaps, than they found from a journal or magazine article, or maybe the encyclopedia article. So they can make those connections to the content they learned, and perhaps do some of those project-based assignments based on that initial research. So this is what it might look like filled out completely. Just different notes that they've taken. Hopefully they find more, and as you go up in grade level, you might not be able to use the little graphic organizer here, but just the same kind of idea. But the kinds of benefits that we have for this is it helps students to make connections using the multiple sources. So I think that's a really important piece of this particular activity. It provides multiple points of view for comparison, encourages a collaborative environment, and kickstarts the writing process. different. I'm going to move along here just because we are in a crunch for time here, but the next resource that we're going to look at is ImageQuest. And so we're going to kind of, oh, you know what, never mind, I'm not doing that yet. I want to make sure you all create your own accounts. So let me come back here. What I want to do right now is log out. So I'm going to take you through the steps to creating your account. So I'm going to come up right here into my Britannica and click right there. And to create an account, what you'll want to do is click sign up. So I'm going to click right here on this link. And this is where you'll be able to create any username and any password that you like. So this is not where you'll put in Hammond and learn. This is unique to you. So whether it's your first and last name, whether it's your dog's name, whatever you want to use as a username and a password, you can create that there. So you put it in, username, password, retype that password in. As a student, if you're creating an account, you'd be done. You click OK and you've created an account. And because we want you to have educator level accounts, which give you access to our lesson plan browse, you're going to want to put in your email address and then your school code. And again, your school code for Hammond is U2T6, I believe. Yes, okay. U2T6 in all capital. So let's put it in there for you guys. So once you've done that, click OK. It should give you a little box that says, hooray, you've created a resource. And those of you who don't have a device today, in your packets here, it does give you step-by-step instructions on how to do that. So, no worries. Alright, so it should say, hooray, you've successfully created a new Britannica account. I'll click OK, and this is where you're going to be able to begin to create your resource packs. I'm always going to say don't show this again. This just explains what resource packs is. Click OK. And I'll come over here to my content. And now it says I only have one thing. They are automatically put a Britannica favorites in there for you. But you can begin to create a new resource pack just by clicking here. So if I wanted to call this, let's see. No, let's do cells. And click add. My Bengal tiger is always in my Britannica favorites. And then once I created it, I can begin to add content. So I can do, maybe I want to add the article here. I'm going to click on this icon. So anytime I see a star, I can click on the star, pull down to my resource pack, or add in a new one. And I'll add one more thing here. And then back up to my content. I've got it in my resource pack, and that's how easy it is to create. So we've got this here. I can add notes if I'd like. I know I always have that unique URL just for my pack. If I want to add in my own document, like I did with that puzzle graphic organizer, I would do that by clicking on Edit or Add Content right here. And that's going to take me to this page where I would scroll down to the bottom. And then where it says Upload Your Document, that's where you would do that. So I could upload a PDF, or it gives me all sorts of different types or formats that I can choose. And then I can save changes here or convert to a lesson plan, which we're not going to do today, but you do have access to that because you are all in an educator level account. All right, any questions about the resource packs? All right, I am going to move on to our next resource, which we're going to look at an example of. How you could flip with Britannica resources. So I'm going to come over here to Britannica School. So as I click on this logo at the very top, this always takes me back to this page. That's where I can switch through the levels. I'm going to choose to look at your Britannica resources in the upper right corner of the screen. So if I click on this, what you have access to now through the end of September are resource packs and image quest. So these are, it's very confusing, it even confuses me, because we call resource packs in Britannica School resource packs, but resource packs are also a separate resource that you can purchase. But you do have access to it through September. If you like them, let your administrator know, because that might be something that Hammond will additionally purchase. But Kim's given you access to this through September. And you also have Image Quest. So first we're going to take a look at Image Quest, and then we'll take a look at Resource Pack. Again, both of these resources are just on a trial basis right now. But Image Quest is our resource of over 3 million rights cleared images. So we partner with different image collections like Getty Images, National Geographic Society, Oxford Scientific. Those are just a few of them, but you can see all of them if you'd like to by viewing your collections right down here. I'm going to do a search right up here. We'll stick to that same topic of cells, just because you can get an idea of the amount of images that you'll find. We have over 27,000 images just for cells. So I can find any of those here. We also can click on the image to make it larger. All of the images we can add to our own image collection, just like a My Britannica collection, which that same username and password will work for both accounts. I can download this image, email it, print it, and then of course the most important piece is that they're all automatically cited. So the 3 million images, you'll always find a citation. So that means that they can use them however they like, as long as you're not selling the content. So if you make your own, so the example that I always use, because usually you're not selling stuff, is you can't use it in a yearbook because the yearbook comes out. But in a newspaper, you can use it because you don't usually sell the newspaper or the school newspaper. All right, so that's where that citation tool is right down there. So I do want to show you an activity that you could use, and this is really, I love this activity, for really any image. Has anyone ever done See, Think, Wonder?
Yeah. Well, my our art teacher does it.
Does he?
Art and paint.
Yeah.
Art images.
Oh, that's cool. And I love this concept for beginning research. So if you're doing a project-based learning or where students in charge of their own learning, this is a really great way to do this. It fits really well for flipped classroom, and you can do this for like really any subject area at any grade level. And it does a lot of different things. It allows kids to really focus in on what they're looking at, but it also gives them works on some of those inferencing skills, and then of course developing questions and developing kind of those thick or deeper questions. So what we had asked students to do in this particular example is I would have them do this at home. So I would have them go home, and with this graphic organizer here, I would have them look at an image. So this is just one image that I pulled, but it could be anything. And I've done this with videos before. I've also done it with images where I only give them a small piece, and then it expands out. Or you could do it with the World Atlas. You can really do it with a whole bunch of different things. But basically, I ask them in the C column to write down everything that they see. So what are they doing in that when they're doing that? They're observing, and they're pulling out key ideas and details. So they're actually telling us exactly what they see. So this, we're looking at a lot of stuff here, but it could be a really simple image. This is a good one. So they might see that they see an astronaut. They might see that they look like they're floating, and depending on the kid's background knowledge, they're going to be telling you all sorts of different things. And then the next column is think. So what might they put into the think column?
I think she's happy.
They think she's happy, yeah. And then you could even go back to, okay, what evidence in the picture tells you that? So you're kind of looking for the evidence within the image. She's smiling. Or I think she's in space. And then what about I wonder? What would they put in the wonder column?
What a job is, I wonder what the mission is, I wonder where she's at.
Exactly. How's she doing it? Yeah.
Why?
Yeah, why? Yeah. And those are great questions, and a lot of times when, especially with your younger students, or probably with your older students too, you're going to want to direct them to say, what's a question that you can research? So what's a question that you can ask that's going to allow you to do some research? So whether it be within Britannica School, or of course with any other resource. So it's just a cool activity to do, but I really like that activity because it really makes students use language meaningfully too, because they're asked, a lot of times they'll automatically go from the see column to the think column, and you have to say, is that what you see, or is that what you think is happening in the image? So lots of cool things to do with all of our images. All right, so our next resource that I'm going to show you is sources.eb.com. This is not a direct link in Britannica School right now, but you do have access to it. It's our brand new resource. It just launched, gosh, about a month ago. Do you like it?
I do.
Good, awesome. But it is a resource of 420,000 original sources, secondary sources. We've got classic literature in there, lots of different kinds of e-works. So if I do a search right up here at the top, I can search for author, title, subject, date, or words. So before I did the atomic bomb, so if students are studying that, they can come right in here and they can find all of the content related to that. So if you're looking for primary source documents, including those in students' research, this is a great place for that. They can also, and I'm going to come into Einstein's atomic bomb proposal. I like that you can also search by date up here. I think that's so cool. But I can find a summary of what's being talked about here. I can print this. I can even create a PDF or an e-work, or an EPUB, excuse me. So if you've got a reader on your device, you can have it there offline. And you can email it to somebody. But I can also, I'm going to come back here to original sources. You can go through topics or events. I'll go to events. I like that one. And they can just explore life in ancient Egypt. We can come down here to, let's go to the Trojan War. And then you can see all the titles that are associated with it. So that is a Britannica Original Sources. And then the last resource that I want to show you, you can actually access directly from Britannica School. So I know I'm jumping around here a lot, but I'm back here at the Britannica School resource. And this last feature is resource packs. So we already looked at how we can create our own resource packs in Britannica School, right? So those are things that you can save, you can share with your students, and have them do at home. The Britannica resource packs are resource packs that our editorial department has already curated. So they've gone through and done some of that heavy lifting for you. They've done some work ahead of time. And you can see that we've got resource packs from pre-K all the way through 12th grade. So I'm going to come in here to our 6th through 8th grade. I can also filter by category, so I can choose that here. So we've done a lot of ancient civilization stuff. Let's come up here. For example, let's go into instruments of time. I don't know what that looks like. Let's go in that. All right, we've got this. So calendars and timelines. So I can come here, and I can see the articles and the images associated with it. Let's pick something that's going to give us a little bit more. There we go. So U.S. history from 1800s to 1850s. So we've got all of these different little resource packs. These are just for social studies now. Science teachers, we're working on our science resource packs as we speak. But you can get all an idea of what this looks like. So maybe immigration from Northern Europe. We have 4 articles, 4 images, and 1 video in this. So I can click here, I can look at images, articles. And what's great about this is just like the resource packs that you create in Britannica School, you can share those. You can email this pack. You can share a link to this pack, and you can also save and customize your own version. Because you're Britannica School subscribers, you're going to go right back into Britannica School, and it's actually going to save it for you right over here on the left. And sometimes I have to refresh my page. And I'm going to see that I have my immigration from Northern Europe, and all of the resources there. I can start to add notes and share it with my students. So just like I could do with creating it from scratch, I can do it for your resource pack. So my suggestion to you is go in there, really play around with it, use it while you have it, because then you'll have it in Britannica School too. All right, we're going to do one quick think pair share again. If you could just talk with your partner about one thing that you learned today that you're going to take back and share with your colleagues.
Hello, Mr. Rossi. Like just take years of power. So I already decided. So it's like in a way it's like it's better than Google as far as
I think I'm missing one.
it's better you're not probably the actual encyclopedia.